Hello and welcome to Hixxy Studio. In this video I'm going to show you how to make this 8x8 spring themed card. I will be using these Julie Hickey stamps. They are a floral foliage stamp set, and also I'm going to be using this embossing folder from Creative Expressions, the Forget Me Not frame. It's a beautiful deep 3D one to put a nice little border around our foliage. The letters are also another Julie Hickey designs. These are the gorgeous Sweet Pea alphabets set. There's an uppercase and a lowercase, and it's a really lovely set. It's because they have duplicates. All those letters that where you have to run it through several times. These have duplicates, so we'll get to those a bit later. Okay, sorry, I just dropped everything there. I'll pick it up in a minute. Okay, so the first thing we need to do is the stamping, and you may... Oh, I tell you what else I haven't shown you that I'm using. I will do that before we move on to these. These are the Faber-Castell. They are watercolour pencils. They come in a box of 12. I am only using for this the 2 greens, but I have been playing with them. There's a beautiful range of colours, and obviously they can be mixed. So if you're not you're worried about applying watercolour direct, I'll show you how that we just sort of scribble on the paper and then use water to move it. And I had to go at another stamp I've been using, and those are with the pencils. So they're a beautiful set, and I will be using those to colour the foliage in. Put those to one side. But I have done some white embossing. So we're going to do that first. And I'm going to just bring in, and I do apologise for leaning across my quite faded stamping mat here. Just to give me a little bit of something to press into. So, as I said, I'm going to be using white embossing powder, which is that one. Phew, I did get it out. So it's a white embossing powder. I'm using Perfect Medium. Any of your sort of clear embossing inks, because you want white. The white powder will cover up most things, but the lighter you can get it, the better. So if you've got something like Perfect Medium, and I'm going to kind of do a bit of a technique where when you normally layer things and you mask things off, by using the clear ink and the white powder, we can kind of get away with brushing off some of the powder. The one thing it does mean though, and this is me, it's sort of, I struggle a bit with this, is your stamps need to be clean. And I have had a little bit of a go with stamp cleaner on it, just because you'll get marks possibly where you don't want them, but it's not a huge deal. So I'm going to start by grabbing a block, excuse me, and I'm going to start with this. This is the first one that I'm going to use here. Now, having already embossed this, it kind of gives you an idea of whereabouts you want to go. The other good idea is to cut this to size. So this is going to fit in, so I can pretty much tell where I want to do my stamping, and we're going to do the embossing afterwards, after we've done the stamping. I tried it the other way around, embossing first and then the stamping, but because of the dimension, it wasn't having didn't really like the stamping because it became too sort of bumpy. Right, so I'm stamping up my stamp here, and this kind of embossing ink, it's just a really sticky ink. You can see my ink pad's not particularly clean. It's just a really sticky ink. The idea being that then the embossing powder will stick to it. So we're going to stamp this one first. Put all my things there. Right, so going to that again. And I do apologise that my die cutting machine has a tendency to rattle when I push on here. Okay, so remove that. It's very difficult to see because it is clear ink. I'm just going to, let me bring that in. I'm going to put my embossing powder over. Tap it off. Just move that out of the way. And bring in my heat gun. Now you really should put that away just so that you don't end up blowing it, but just for speed. So I was going to say it's a bit of a time-consuming task, but it's not overly time-consuming, but actually it will be worth it to stamp and emboss each one individually. So you can see, I don't know if the camera can catch that, as the heat catches it, the powder melts. Don't be tempted to waft your gun and move on once you've losing my words here. Once it's melted, move on. So just need to make sure that that cools down before I put my next one on the top. Okay. So same stamp, and this time I'm going to go up here. Okay. Now it is overlapping where I've stamped previously, and if you're not too fussed, and then just sort of leave it. But I'm going to show you what I will do, making sure that that is stamped. And you can see I've got a little bit of muck on my stamp there, but not to worry. So we'll put the powder on, give it a little flick on the back, and now this time, before I heat emboss, I'm going to have a look, and actually I'm finding this a lot easier than I did at home because of the lights. I can see where this embossing powder is going over the top of the one in the middle. So I'm just going to use my brush to remove the bits I don't want, to make it look like this leaf is actually behind the ones that I have already embossed. And this is why you need a fairly clean stamp, because otherwise you will end up with the a bit of a damp brush that I'm trying to remove this powder with. Otherwise you will end up with marks. You can vaguely see them, but once the paint's on, but what you wouldn't want is a big black mark on there. Okay, so I think I've removed that. There. And then we emboss that one. So hold your heat gun until you see it starting to melt, and then just move on. You can see now my heat gun is a bit warmer. It's quicker. And you can probably just make out where I brushed off the powder. You won't be able to see that particularly once we put the paint on, or it will sort of merge into the background. So that's the second one. We've got one more of these to do to go over the other side. A very sticky ink pad. Very sticky. So this one is going to come across here. Okay, so I'm going to press that one down. Okay, definitely got something on that little bit of my stamp. I'm not sure it's making too much of an issue. So embossing powder on, tap it off the back, and again, get your brush, have a look at where bits sort of overlap that you want to disappear behind. There. Not too much on that one. Okay. And then we'll emboss it. This is an opaque white embossing powder that I'm using. And this is quite a lovely technique where you don't want the outline to be really kind of in your face. You want the sort of image more. Okay, so we've done those, and then I'm going to get my put this stamp back on my sheet, and then we're going to use this lovely one. It's a little bit like heart, and we'll stamp this one up. And these ones are going to come up through the middle here. So again, this is where you're going to start to get a little bit of overlap, and then you can just remove that. Okay. It's not going to look the same as the last one, but that's okay. I don't mind. Push it down. Make sure. There we go. See this one. I have tried to clean the stamp. I don't know how many times. And there we go. So that's on there. Get your brush. And so this, move that bit there, that bit under there. It's just I mean, like I say, if you're not fussed, then you don't need to do this. But it does just help to give a little bit of perspective, because you're sort of placing the leaves, if you like, behind another bit. And like I say, at home, oh, I've got something messy there. I would be putting the powder away just in case I decided to. Oh, I've missed a bit there. In case I decided to blow the whole lot away with my heat gun, which wouldn't be the best idea. Okay, that's one there. Another one of these to do. I'm not going to particularly ink the stalk this time because I don't need the stalk. And then this one's going to come out through here. Press it down. It's a good idea to have something. This is not soft. This is a stamp foam. It's a Crafter's Companion one, but it is quite old, which is why I've got it turned over because it's very faded and that. But it is worth having something, not too soft and squidgy, but something that you can press down into when you are stamping. Okay, and let's see what I want to get rid of this time. I'm going to get rid of those bits there, that bit there, this bit here. Do get a bit of the stem in there. That bit behind that leaf, and that bit behind that leaf, I think. And then heat emboss again. You will miss bits. I think I have this time, and I know I did on the previous one. But you know, it's not that big of a deal. Okay, that's. And I think I did one more of the stamps from this set. I don't know why I'm putting the lid on that. I haven't finished. It's the stamp I need to put away. Put the stamp there, and then we're going to use this little one. We're going to use it once up here and once down here just to fill in those little gaps. And again, sticky ink. This one's going to go up here. And I might actually do both at the same time this time, because they are not. Oh, about to pour embossing powder on my stamp. That would not have been a good idea. Yeah, because they're so far away from each other, I'm not too worried that I need to emboss one before the other. So I'm going to do them both. And then we'll put powder on here. I think I'm just about at the end of my powder now, which is fine. And powder there. Tip that onto my sheet. Give it a tap. And then the last time, just go through and brush off the bits that you don't want. to emboss. In fact, not a lot on that. Okay, let's emboss those two, and then we'll put the powder away, and then we will do the next step. Okie dokie, right. Put that to one side. And you may have one of those lovely little trays, but I find a little piece of paper is just as good. And you can see, although it looked like I tipped out loads and loads, I've used barely any of that powder. So lid on that to one side. So the next thing we're going to do is, I'm just going to give it a brush off, is we're going to put this through the machine with the embossing folder. Now you need to make sure this one doesn't have like quite often they have like a logo on, so you know which is the front. This one doesn't, so what you need to do is to feel in. This bit is the recessed side and this bit is out, so that's the back. This is going to push the embossing up through the front of the card, so we're going to put that in there and there, and then bear with me while I lean over. And in the Gemini, this machine, I'm using just one of the clear plates, the magnetic, and then the plastic shim. Otherwise, it won't go through. It won't let you put it through with anything else on there, and that is enough to give you this lovely kind of deep embossing. Okay. Just hold on my. There we go. My fingers today are not picking anything up. And then that's to one side. So what I want to do now is I'm going to grab my pencils. And like I said, the only two I'm using for this particular project are these greens. Excuse me. I need a little bit of water. And I need just a brush. So this is the great thing about watercolour pencils. You literally just scribble the colour on, and then it will just sit there until you put water on it. So we can go through all of these leaves now, and I'm not colouring the whole thing. I don't need to, because the water will draw the pigment out. So literally there's no sort of skill to this. So on that, like the first one that I stamped, I am just using the darker of the green. Okay, just making sure I've got more on there. Okay, and this one. And then in a moment, this very small ones, I will just use the lighter of the greens. And on those sort of heart-shaped ones, I'm going to use a combination. Now, I am having to go over the thing. I quite like that texture, but if you prefer, then, you know, you can always colour it before you actually emboss. Personal choice. So you can see there's no kind of what's the word? I'm going to say skill, but that's not really what I mean. It's not anything technical that you need to think, oh, where am I going to put the colour? Just put it at the base of the leaves, scribble it a little bit, trying to make sure I've got all of those ones. Right, so for these ones, I'm putting a little bit of the dark green down on the base. Here. Once you start painting them, once you start adding the water, you'll soon see if there's any that you miss. Sort of under that one And then I'm going to take the lighter green and I'm just going to put a little bit of the lighter green kind of across the top there. Again, nothing technical. I'm not being particularly fussy where I'm, oh, wrong leaf, never mind. Oh, there we go, there's one that I missed. Not to worry that I put it on that leaf there. I'm sure in a minute I'm going to find some that I've missed. And then on these little ones, now they're, because I've embossed it, they aren't as easy to see. So yeah, but it's there enough for me to see what I'm doing. And then up here, again, just at the base of the leaf, because you're going to use the water to spread that. Now I'm just going to start with this brush, which seemingly has yellow on it, and I'm going to grab a piece of kitchen roll to have my brush. Right, okay, so it's looking clean now. So literally a bit of water on, and then the colour moves. It's that simple. And because you've embossed, it won't sit on these, you see these little white bits that are up the centre of the, it won't go over those. It will be resisted by that. And you've also got a nice edge there as well, so you're not going to necessarily, unless you're put too much water on, you're not going to go outside of the leaf. So you can see you get this really lovely effect on the leaf. And okay, so you can see here where I've taken the embossing powder away here, this leaf has disappeared underneath this one. So it's just a little detail, you know, if you're not fussed, like I say, then you don't need to worry about it. But it just is another way to get around masking if you don't want to actually print and use a mask and sort of layer it down every time. Well, I can see one in there that I didn't put that green on. Okay. Oh, this one here. This is where I zone out once I start painting. Yeah, so what we're going to do after we've done this painting is we're going to add some ink around the border, just to bring, it seems a shame to have used that lovely deep embossing folder and to not sort of highlight. So the easiest way to do that is literally to add some ink over the top. We lost a leaf there. That's okay. Ooh. And down there. Ooh. Down there. Okay, so now I'm going to do all these little ones. And with these pencils, just because you've got those colours, you can still mix colours just in the same way as you would using your other watercolours. You can actually scribble the colours over each other and they will mix. So just like you would with any other watercolours. You can see there I've used the two colours. You can't see the, you know, where, oh, I didn't put my little green bit there, did I? You can see the difference having that green makes in comparison of those two leaves. Just a little difference, but you know, a difference nonetheless. So, okay, last little leaf there. Okay, so there's all our foliage painted. Put the water away. And the brush. And the pencils. And then we're going to grab our inks. And the two that I've chosen to use are Lucky Clover and Twisted Citron. Now, I picked Twisted Citron because it looks really quite acidy, but actually, as you can see, when I actually put it on, it came out quite yellow, which in the end I really loved. But it was kind of one of those happy accidents. Just grabbing my brushes for my two colours. Lucky Clover. Lucky Clover, that will do. Okay. So I'm going to start, and I'm going to grab my inking mat as well to save my mat side. So we're going to start with our Twisted Citron, which is our lighter colour, and we're just going to bring that in. I'm not pressing really hard, but I'm kind of bringing it in far enough to catch all that beautiful embossed details, just so that it brings that out to life. Now, I'm not bothered that I'm going over the leaves. If you don't want it on the embossed bit, if you just rub a piece of tissue over. Remember, Distress is a water-based product. You've embossed, and that will repel the water-based product. So although it looks like you've covered it, you can just go back in and wipe that off. I'm not going to bother because I kind of think it all adds to it. Okay. And then once we've been over with our Twisted Citron, we are going back in with our Lucky Clover to give it more of an edge. Okay. So I'm not going right in now, just catching the edge of the embossing and the edge of the card. Just kind of frame it if you like. I don't think I mentioned the card that I'm using. I am actually using watercolour card. I find that it's much better with the pencils. The pencils move much better on watercolour card. They will work on your stamping card, but my preference, and I think I've got a bit heavy-handed there, not to worry. My preference is to use watercolour card. Okay. I'm going to get rid of my inking mat for the moment. And my brushes. So, now it is just a case of assembling our card. I have some bits already prepped. So I've got my backgrounds here. It's an 8x8 card. I have used some triple hint of gold to create it. So I have actually made the card base myself. And we need some glue. Let's see how my glue is going. My glue is going to work today. Okay, and I have my helpful little arrows to tell me which way up to stick things. Are we coming out glue? Yes, there we go. There we go. And then yellow. Yeah, so once I'd inked it, I tend to create the image before I choose all my background stuff. It just seemed a lot more yellow than green. So I went for this sort of creamy yellow background to tie in. Piece of paper. I'm not sure if this is still on the website. This is Crafter's Companion. I think might be the Farmhouse. 12 by 12. That, and then I'm going to stick my watercolour, and I am not going to try and put ink glue, so I'm going around the edge to make sure the edge sticks. And then I will put glue in the middle here. Not even going to bother trying in that sort of central part. Sorry, that embossed part. Okay. There we go. And I don't want to kind of run my brayer over it to make sure it's stuck, because otherwise I'll be flattening all of my embossing. Okay. Now I've already created this centerpiece to go on. It's just another piece of the Couture Pearl, the green and the yellow and the paper, and white and yellow ribbon wrapped around. And I am going to use because you've got the ribbon there, it kind of means this, you'd have to kind of almost bend it if you like to stick it. So I tend to use not like thick amount, but just put some 3D glue gel, just helps it to find its own sort of level. Then I've got this right. Oh, there it is. Phew. Okay, I did stick that the right way. And then this sticks across there. And then we are going to put this on at a little bit of an angle. And again, I'm going to use 3D glue gel at the top and the bottom, because this part in the middle is raised. But I'm just going to use this is Creative Expressions acrylic glue that I've got in here in the middle. Just okay, that's that and that there. I have my bow and that ready, but the last thing we need to do is we need to look at the alphabet and cut our alphabet. So let's do that in a minute. Put this one aside. I have already cut the alphabet in. Oh, that's what fell off earlier. I've already cut the alphabet in yellow, so I'm going to cut it out of the green card now. So I need. Oh, I just dropped something. I definitely dropped something. Ah, brush. So we need a capital F. I really like. Well, I do really like the alphabet, but as my crafting friends will tell you, I am a bit of an alphabet fiend. Really, I love an alphabet. I don't even know how many alphabets I have in my stash. So this is 4, and I need a capital Y. And now normally, I say normally, a lot of more recent sets do have these doubles, but in a lot of my older sets, I only have like 1 O, 1 E. So I would have to then run this through and then go back and run the O through again. But we don't need to with this one, because we've got it all there for me. So let's put tape down and a little bit there. Grab our plate. So let us. There we go. You see, I've got nice clean plates today. I'm very lucky. Let's go that way to start with. So they're brand new plates, so I am making sure I go minimal pressure to start with, because I don't want to start bowing my plates right from the beginning. And then we'll see what we've done. There we go. Oof, falling out, so that was okay. Drop those off. And put that out. So we've got FOR. Why are you? Excellent. I will sort my alphabet out in a moment. So I have my for you piece of scrap paper to do my glue in. And let's get my yellow letters out. Woohoo! And I'm going to get my really thin applicator and got caught. I'm going to stick the yellow on top of the green. I felt the green on top of the yellow was a bit too sort of in your face bright, so I'm just put a little bit of glue on the Y, and then move it that way. What do we got next? We've got an O. O. Okay. Oh, there's me saying I stick it on the green. I was about to put it on the yellow. I think for me personally, when it's a bigger alphabet, it's easier to put the glue on the bottom one, but when it's a tiny alphabet, I do find it easier to put the glue on the one I've got in the tweezers. I think you have more control over it. There's U. And then we've got our F. And put some glue. You see, I'm not putting it all over. And because I know I'm dropping it slightly, I'm kind of trying to avoid the areas that are going to show. There's O. Oop. Okay, nearly. And it's not going to cause any great stress if I do stick it on the glue on the yellow, but I do find it easier. And on the R. Okay, right. So let's put these on and sticking them all to each other. I always say, I do it at home when I'm doing this on my own. I always say the letters out loud. I don't know why. Just, I suppose, helps me to make sure I've got them all. Come on, come up. Right, so I do it like that. Grab my tweezers again. Over, holding my other hand, and then I put the glue on. Hands back and glue it down. Breath. The O. It is always a good idea to place your letters on before you stick on. I have at times not done it and then realised I've not got enough room, or I've had to squash something up and it doesn't look quite so good. So do just check before you actually stick anything down as to where you're going to place all of your letters. Yeah. And then once we've done this, all that remains is for me, to add on the bow. Going to go there. We'll use a bit of 3D glue gel for that. Like so. And then I have black back pearl embellishments here. I'm going to do 1, 2, 3 there. I'm going to do 1, 2, and 3 there. And then 1 on the bow. Grab a little tool. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, and 3. And then the last one is going to sit in the middle of the bow. So there we have our sort of lovely sort of spring colour card. We have used, let's have a recap. We've used the 3D embossing folder, Forget Me Not frame from Crafter's Expression. We have used Julie Hickey's Floral Foliage stamp set, and we have used the Faber-Castell Gold Faber Aqua pencils. So, thank you for joining me. See you again soon.